This is a tale of two cities and a tale of your own life and the two paths that you can choose from with every day's sunrise. One of these paths will gladly usurp all of your best ideas and best energies to feed a black hole. And one of these paths multiplies the good within you and creates things from within you that will then exist in the real world and serve as your legacy. Which path will you choose? If these walls could talk, my house would tell you of troubled times. 6 months after 2 hurricane floods, the powers that be continue to be stubbornly non-functional. But take a look at the bigger and more creation-oriented areas where I'm choosing to focus my attention. We can always build and create. Every day, I wake up to greet the day and make use of the time I have left to leave my stamp here on earth. The act of creating crowds out and suffocates that which seeks to destroy. I just got back from a wonderful trip to my beloved hometown, Chicago, to attend my cousin's wedding. This is a tale of two cities and the two mindsets that you can choose from every single day. Problems will always jump in and find you, but you can choose if those problems get your attention. Every single issue in your life is an opportunity for you to direct energy in one direction or another. So when you feel powerless, you feel like a victim, you feel like things are getting in the way of your goals, what is so critical is that you sit down and you understand the power that you hold to simply choose which direction you turn your eyes. And where you turn your eyes and what you give your attention to is what is going to grow. When you think you are battling a problem by attacking that problem may flourish and grow because you are giving it so much of your secret sauce, your attention, the thing inside of you. And in contrast, you hold the power to suffocate your problems by minimizing the amount of your secret sauce, your essence, that those problems receive in a day. I've had a lot of problems, but I almost have to talk about my problems because people on the outside think I have it easy, and I don't have it easy. I have had cancer, stage 3, metastasized to my skull, 2 9-hour surgeries. I have had somebody in a very powerful position steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from me. I have had a hurricane flood my home. I have had a lot of and I've had just daily problems. The reason people from the outside think I have it easy, and by the way, I've just been away for a wonderful weekend. My hair is wet. I just showered. I'm all clean early Monday morning, around 5 a.m. and I'm ripper and ready to go on living out my passion as I do. I love waking up. I love getting jazzed. I love moving forward, but I wanted to stop here and just share how important this is. Because when something looks good on the outside, when you see those other people succeeding, you are not seeing the many things they champion and make these very conscious choices about. And so when you hold the power with any problem in your life, anything that gets in the way of your goals, anything that holds you back, anything that makes things too difficult, you have the ability to simplify and narrow your focus. You have the ability to hurdle the problems, and you have the ability to leap and jump ship. Those are all different doable strategies for any problem, and all of them can be used as different levers in different times. You are not a victim. You are not getting hijacked. Sometimes we feel when we finally rev up and work towards a big goal, big life change in a job, working out, and you think, oh, well, of course I joined the gym and I was going to work out, but look, I came outside and I have a flat tire. What am I going to do? There are ways to attack your problems with vigor, but it's also so important to understand that if that problem is a black hole, the more you give it, the more it will take. So I'll give the example of my hurricane flooded home. I paid for flood insurance. I still pay for flood insurance for future floods. And yet the past flood that actually did happen over 6 months ago in September of 2024, the insurance still hasn't paid on it. There is what I would say a flushing toilet bowl of problems. There are contractors ready to work, but the city won't give permits. The city has I have pursued the circles just to get the answers. The city says the contractors are at fault. I have a management company for the property that I live on, and the management company says that they're pointing fingers at the contractors. The contractors are pointing at the city. The city is pointing back at the contractors, and the insurance company is just running and running and running, doesn't want to pay the insurance to keep all of this in motion. So that's a pretty big problem. And I have done all the things, but here's how I have done it. I have done it effectively by scanning the environment and touching the one thing that is an effective action to drive the results, give me the information and the power for what are the levers here that I can impact to drive actual change, and what is the minimum amount of time that I am going to give my mind, attention, heart, skills, knowledge, and creativity to. Because I have seen this in some people, this is happening in parallel to me. When I'm moving forward, I can see people making different non-strategic approaches. And I have seen people who are basically stuck and have nothing to speak of for the last 6 months because they're beating their heads again and again against a wall. And that makes this year a tragedy, a loss for them, because our lives are ticking. I'm dying, and so are you. We only have fewer and fewer minutes with every minute that is passing. And I commit every day to creating. What I'm going to do in this day is I'm going to leave one more stamp on this earth of what is inside of me, what is my secret sauce, what is important to me. My legacy is the most important thing to me. So if I'm doing something, it's from within me and what I want to leave for my 2 sons and anyone who is young and in need of my skills, time, and support. That is my legacy. And if I am not doing something that contributes to my legacy in a given day, it is scanning and then doing the one effective action that will drive that machine forward, and I treat it as a machine. What is the one effective action I can take, giving it the minimum amount of my secret sauce, my creative effort, the things that I have to protect within me, my time, my energy, my mind, my soul, all of this. At the end of the day, I only have so much. I get tired. I lose time. Monday becomes Tuesday. Tuesday becomes Wednesday. Wednesday, things roll forward. So I don't want these minutes to pass by and I say, well, I called 8,000 attorneys to fight this black hole insurance company and this flushing toilet bowl of problems. It is not a problem. I can see the game. I can see that the timeline is imperfect, but it is moving forward. I have evidence. I do just enough tracking. I don't get all into the administrivia. I take the new information. I take the new document. I make the one next effective action. And then I don't hang out around the water cooler of gossip and the conjecture and the conspiracy theory. I mean, there are people who are kind of in a dark place and just living in this dark place. And all I have to say is, if you're concerned about $10,000 or $100,000 that the insurance company is going to owe you, what if you continue with your work for the year and do the best work you've ever done? That is your essence. You're going to come out of that year with $150,000 of work, $200,000 of work, $80,000 of work, something special, something that could be sold as an asset for something better. It will, the good that you do, what you create, will always overshadow any sort of mess you're trying to sweep up behind you, because that mess is a black hole. That mess will create nothing. This is similar to the video I made about when people have stolen things from me. You fight what gets stolen. You get bitter about somebody doing some unjust thing and something that's unfair to you. But guess what? If you simplify and narrow your focus, or if you hurdle the problem, meaning, there's a bunch of jerks doing a bunch of jerk things here. Let me move to my higher purpose. Let me start working with people who are multipliers. Let me focus my attention. And then you say Monday, oh my God, Tuesday, now this thing is rolling ahead. 3, oh my gosh, now I'm getting an offer. Now I'm getting another client offer. All these things are rolling. I was fighting over $20,000 or $100,000 or $10,000. And now I have created this multiplier network and creativity and demand for what I have to produce that is worth $1 million. Wouldn't you rather see your 1 day or your 6 months invested in a way that multiplies? Anytime you're doubling down on the problems that hit you, it is often a zero-sum game. You're only going to win back that finite number of what you lost. This is true in relationships. Anything, some toxic person can post something toxic about you on any social media site, and you can fight that and double down on that. But if you simply live your purpose, you are creating connections with thousands more people who see evidence of who you are and what you're about. So if you create, it's like stars in the sky. Today is so it's May. I got up early. I ran out before I started this. I went out before the sun rose to try to see the Halley's comets, the meteor shower. And I just think everything in the sky is full of so many stars. Wouldn't you rather see the twinkling of all these stars and celebrate that rather than think about any one black hole that is not going to get, you could fight the black hole, but it is not going to draw more attention. It's not going to bring a twinkle in someone's eyes in the future. If you're doing something, make sure it's the creation of what's inside of you that will always multiply value, outcomes, demand. If you think that, if you're fighting someone who's fighting you, there is nothing you can extract from that, from just that, winning back $20,000 or $100,000 or whatever the situation may be with my property, on these walls and paint and that kind of thing. I really don't care, because at some point I'm kind of playing this game out. I'm touching the button, I'm clicking the button, I'm responding to the document, getting it done in the tightest, most secure way. I do have an attorney monitoring the situation. And again, if I'm paying that attorney, I'd rather be creating money so I can pay the attorney and say, keep your eye on that. Make sure this. If you see an opportunity, call this out. And I'm doing the same thing with my realtors. I'm having coffee with my realtors, making sure that we're all on the same page, that they're watching our opportunities. I've already identified situations where I can pull a trigger, I can pull a lever, and I can think about this property if there's too many delays, but if financially it makes sense to let the insurance company pay it out. I can go considering buying a second home, and usually people buy a second home in a different town. So they have a vacation town, but I could buy a second home nearby and just kind of hop back and forth and so on and so forth. So there's a million things I could do, and I'm not in a rush, because you know what I care about is when I wake up in the morning is that my energy is high. And when I use my high energy, I'm doing it to create, to write, to produce, to do the thing that's in me. If I die tomorrow, I'll be happy. I would not be happy if I spent 6 months creating a million nasty complaint letters, lawyer letters, toxic letters, and had 100 toxic conversations with gossiping cohorts, neighbors, and so on, and just negativity. That's not my legacy. There's nothing there. If I died at the end of the 6 months, there's nothing there that says, wow, she left her stamp on earth. And any problem in your life is willing to take your energy, your secret sauce, your essence. And so what I'll do today is I'll just show you a little example of some of the things I've done to have a little fun with the craziness in my house. But when people see me living my life, they have no idea. So I just got back from Chicago, and I had a fabulous time at a family wedding. We had a wonderful time, and I'm just out of the shower, so my hair is still wet here. But I've just got that great feeling of we just played hard. We partied, we danced, we ate. Chicago was my hometown, and it is my hometown. It's where I'm from. So it was so fabulous. Every block, every street, I heard music. And I'm sure if I show you some of the video of me walking around the streets of Chicago, copyright is probably not going to let me have you hear the blues music and the drum beats everywhere I walked out. Every corner was a drum beat. It was so awesome, Chicago. And so I'll try to give you some copyright protected or copyright, allowed blues music in the background of these videos as I'm showing this. But just imagine everywhere, every corner you went on, it was, and we're just getting great beats, great singing. I walked buddy guys, I just had a great time. So I'm going to give you a tale of two cities here, and this is about rising above. If you can imagine that there's a problem in my life, just like you've got problems in your life, you're going to click the one effective button. You're going to make the one effective phone call. You're going to get the machine in motion to make sure that problem is getting addressed or monitored. But that problem doesn't deserve your mind, your attention, your heart, your skills, your knowledge, the secret sauce in you that can create something that the world wants and demands. You can give your minutes and your mind and your attention to the thing that leaves a mark on this earth that is about you. So I want you to go out there today with this mindset of, if I'm creating something, is it going to be consumed by a black hole, or is it going to be something that is a multiplier that other people want and need, that someone's going to value, or that is the important thing that makes me feel good about what I'm leaving here on earth? And so I'm giving you this rise above message, simplify or hurdle or leap and jump ship. You always have a choice to address your problems in any of those ways, but do it in the most effective way so that you are using your energy, your waking minutes in a way that's going to create something today that multiplies value tomorrow. So happy Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it is that you're taking a look at this video. I encourage you to think about what it is you want to do with your life right now, how you want to see it getting in action today. Change your relationship. Have a conversation you've been afraid to have. Change your career. Start to create that thing. Connect with the other people. Pay money that you've been saving up and pay it to go to a conference or meet up with people who are the creators or doers or makers or researchers or geekers or whatever it is that you're passionate about or interested in. Go build that network so that you're energized and connected to continue down that path to unlock the alternate ending to your life. That's what we're talking about here on Kindedge, the process and methodology of small, easy, bite-sized steps that will unlock the alternate ending to your life. Because if you take these small little actions, they daisy chain together to build a bridge from here, this nothing day where you just have a little idea in the back of your head, a bridge from here over the abyss to get you to the other side where you are actually living and doing the thing that matters to you, the thing you crave, the thing you dream about, that you want to be doing in your life before you die. So join me on this journey. It's not going to be easy. Big change is not easy. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be fun. And so today I'm just sharing a little bit of the tale of two cities where I've taken a couple actions, the effective, important actions, and having a little fun with the mess in my house that I'm trying to see through. And in kind, what you see on the outside is me who honors my body by working out almost every day. I do it when I travel. I do it wherever I go. You see people on the outside don't see a victim. They don't see somebody who's had stage 3 cancer, 2 9-hour surgeries and metastasize up to the skull. They don't see somebody who's had financial highs and lows. They don't see somebody who has to deal with problems. They don't see a victim. People on the outside see me doing my best life at the gym, working out the way that I want to work out for me, my yoga, my running, my ballet, expressing it in my quirky way. And people, I just know, doing ballet at the gym is quirky. I can't tell you how many people come up and hug me and say, oh my gosh, I used to do that. My daughter used to do that. Men come up and just say, oh, that's like, I love seeing people do these other types of movement. So I live that, and that brings me so many wonderful connections with people that are these kind of like growth mindset, fun, energetic, cool people. And in kind, the work I do brings me connected to people that are very cool and energized and growth mindset. And so when I travel, people see somebody who is self-respecting and self-honoring, and the conversations are all interesting because people say, oh, I saw you were working on this. I saw you were doing that. And so everything just is a snowball effect of everything you do builds into these wonderful things. So people see me as this healthy, energetic, fun, happy, secure, powerful person who's running around the United States, Europe. I travel to go see my son, travel to family weddings. I travel to see friends and so on and so forth. And so these problems, if I sat around just hovering over my computer and making phone calls, just deep diving into problems, I would be haggard. I would be tired. I would be depressed. I wouldn't be much fun to talk to at a wedding. I certainly, when I connected with my sister and certain family members, I said, yeah, it's blah, blah, blah. I kind of gave the 10-minute update on how things are going because it is what it is. But that's not where I live in my heart. That's not where I live in how I connect with people. I'm not seeking a black hole. I'm not seeking, I don't, misery loves company. I don't think misery loves company. Or if you have misery and you're looking for that kind of company, you're going to get more misery. So I think we all can look at each other. You can go into the grocery store and know that that guy has a problem. That girl has a problem. The person at the checkout has a problem. We've all got 99 problems, but you've got to know that it's where you give your secret sauce, the essence in you, that's going to grow. So I hope you'll join me on this journey. It's not going to be easy. but it's going to be fun. Kindedge.com/subscribe. And certainly on my YouTube channel, please subscribe. Please share what you are thinking about in the back of your head and trying to achieve, and how any of these simplify, hurdle, and leap strategies might help you use your minutes in a way that matters to you. All my hugs and love. Cheers, chin chin, and peace. I'm having so much fun being in my hometown of Chicago, and I could not be thinking of my two sons more, because I'm staying at the Chicago Athletic Club, where they have these beautiful, gorgeous old rooms. This is the Stag Court, which is the old, this is an old private club in Chicago, and this is an old basketball room. And it carries a lot of history, and they've done such a wonderful job of preserving the spaces. And it's now a hotel that's open to the public, but they run the whole place beautifully. And the wedding that I'm attending this weekend in Chicago is at the University Club right around the corner. And that's a place I've been to before, and it's also a very storied building with history, and it is so much the essence of Chicago, and everything I'm seeing this weekend is just making me miss Chicago even more. The only thing I don't miss is the fact that the weather feels like winter in comparison to my Florida chilly bones now. So anyhow, I just love Chicago.